Friends, we have what looks to be possibly $1 million plus scam in the Pokemon card world. And this is, of course, is the ProtoHYPE cards. And first off, let me just say that I feel bad for a lot of the folks that, are buying into what they believe is Pokemon history. For me personally, I like to chase the Grail cards for non-sports entertainment type cards. And this kind of falls into that bucket where I think there's a lot of longtime collectors that were looking at this particular set, these prototypes in quotation marks, these special prototypes, these early alpha and beta sets, I guess is what they were being called, as look, these are historical cards, and that's what they were buying them, believing that that is exactly what it was. To make matters worse, you have CGC that graded these out, and a lot of them were graded 10s, pristine 10s. I watch great videos by SM Pratt and Rattle Pokemon. If you haven't seen those videos, definitely check them out. SM Pratt, I hadn't seen in a long time on YouTube. I used to watch a lot of his stuff going back in time. He reminds me kind of a Rudy Alpha Investments type commentary, really smart commentary. So I was really happy to see SM Pratt talking about this in particular. I think he owns one or two of these cards he bought in as well. But I want to first say that that's really the worst of it is when you are looking at an IP as huge as Pokemon, and it's relatively new. I mean, we're talking about the mid-90s to the end of the 90s when this stuff came out. It's not that old. People are looking for grails like the Pikachu Illustrator card, early Pokemon items, stuff to really celebrate the history. There's a lot of focus right now, of course, around new sets and all the new stuff and the craze behind it. And man, they're making some awesome stuff. The Pokemon Company is the GOAT for trading card games. Maybe just in general for trading card companies. I'm even going to throw in sports cards into that. The Pokemon Company has figured out a way to sell out just about every single new release without having any serial numbered cards. There's not the one of ones. There's not auto cards or relics or things that you would put into a sports card product. It's just that damn popular that it sells out just based on the art, based on the characters. Maybe they unveil some new characters here and there, but for the most part, it is the same characters going back in time. It's incredible. It is a phenomenon like no other. This is the worst part, again, going back, is that there's longtime collectors. I've heard stories of people that sold off a lot of collections to get into some of these prototype cards, ProtoHYPE cards. And if you haven't seen the story, what happened is somebody was able to get in, or a group was able to get in and take a look at some of the print technology. And apparently there's metadata on the card that shows that this thing was printed, these were printed in 2024. The populations for these cards, if you look at CGC graded populations, they've moved up as well, kind of over time. And that's also a little bit of a red flag. Like, you have these rare prototype cards going back to the mid-90s, and all of a sudden there's hundreds of copies that are showing up in 2024. It seems a little bit fishy. Biggest problem I think here too as well is it got by grading. And this is something that scammers, man, going back in time, this is always the goal for scammers, is to get their card, whether it's been trimmed, whether it's been, clean, scrubbed, soaked, whatever's been done to it, or if it's a fake card, if it's not authentic, like in this instance, the scammers can get it into a holder, it legitimizes that card. And the only reason I believe that a lot of people dump serious money into these cards is because they were graded cards by CGC. They have been authenticated, there's an authenticity guarantee. And so people bought into the hype. They're thinking, hey, you know what? They're graded. They've been authenticated. I'm a big believer in third-party grading because there have been so many scams and issues over the years, but it's not a perfect system. And this is a perfect example of where it can fail, to where this has been authenticated. And now we run into a problem. There was even on the CGC forum where they had articles. CGC wrote articles about these particular cards. Now, obviously, it looks really bad. There's going to be fallout from this as far as, folks are going to look into, hey, how can we get some of our money back on this? There's people, I heard someone talking about a $20,000 purchase of one of these, a separate purchase of $67,000, I believe, on golden auctions. This is a lot of money. And this is only a couple of examples. So we're talking about a couple of examples I just named off that add up to almost $100,000. There's a belief that there's millions of dollars at stake here. So it's a really huge deal in our space. Whether you care about Pokemon cards or sports cards, any sort of trading cards, Magic the Gathering. We've seen this a lot on the sports memorabilia side going back decades. People trying to get, photo matched items. Oh, this is a game used jersey. It's game used shoes. They're trying to get that authenticator to authenticate the fraudulent item, the item that is not real. And then, of course, what does that mean? Once it's been authenticated, the price rises dramatically because that is the buyer confidence. If you go on eBay and you see, signed Michael Jordan shoes, and they're running it at auction and it's at $100, there's probably a reason why the bidding is at $100, because there's not a lot of confidence that they're really signed Michael Jordan shoes. However, if that same exact item has been authenticated by a grading company, by an authentication company, all of a sudden the price dramatically increases. There is a lot of faith in these companies. It's not perfect. Like I said, overall, I think they do a great job, but this is a big miss. This is a big miss. CGC is going to have to probably make a statement sometime soon. I hope that they make a statement sometime soon, just to show that they're serious about rectifying the situation. They are, if you look at the gem rate reports, they are second for TCG graded cards. PSA is number 1, and CGC is right there at number 2 for monthly cards that are being graded for TCG cards. A lot of that being Pokemon cards. And so how do we see this playing out? There's a few different things here. What's going to happen to the people that made the cards? Are there other kind of sets like this, other cards that have been made? Have they found success to where they're like, ooh, let's try this other set? I think you probably need to look at what other prototypes are out there, or what other kind of special sets have they found, in quotation marks, that are now being sold on the open market. But again, I've heard some commentary about, oh, people should have known better, and oh, this is too good to be true. And I do agree, if something does feel too good to be true, then it probably is. But a person paying $67,000 for a graded copy of one of these cards, I wouldn't say that that's too good to be true and, they're getting a great deal on a card. They're spending up huge money for these cards with the belief that these things are the real deal. And that's the part that is sad, because you do have longtime collectors that have bought into it and have traded out of other things, traded out of real, authentic cards, great cards, to get into these cards. And now, the scam has been found out. We probably won't be the last scam in the Pokemon card world. Look, it is the highest selling IP on the planet right now. It is not slowing down. To be honest, since the pandemic, I would be shocked if there's not more of these types of things that arise. I think, again, let's take a critical eye. If something seems a little bit off, Rattle Pokemon called this out. He actually showed footage of going back to August of 2024. He showed footage of him talking about this. A warning really is, hey, this doesn't really feel right. And he ended up being right there, Rattle Pokemon. So check out those videos, SM Pratt, Rattle Pokemon, talking about this particular subject. We got to be careful out there, man, especially on the high end. If something is high end, what is the provenance of that item? What is the history? If it's something that seems is newly found, then that's a red flag in itself. What do you all think about this? Do you own any of these? Have you been affected? How do you think this should go down? What do you think CGC should do moving forward? Do you think it's going to have a big effect on their business? Or is it going to be business as usual, and then next month there'll be another news story? Friends, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.